So the reality in corporate America, at least 99% of the time, means that getting promoted equals managing people, which is a skill set unto itself, and one which a lot of corporations do not train or coach you on. And while great, respectful employees are always preferred, they're not always the norm, unfortunately. So today I'm discussing 3 of the most difficult types of people you may end up managing and how to handle them. If you're new to my channel, welcome. Hi, I'm Kristen. I'm a 25-year veteran hiring manager, attorney, and career coach. I work with mid to senior level corporate women to help them get promoted and transition into work they love. Okay, so we're going to tackle this from easiest to hardest. So the first up on my list is the personality type I call Clueless. And in fact, I had a client the other week who had a new office assistant and came to me because he did not know what to do. This was an individual who had an incredibly abrasive work style, but he had no idea how his style was impacting his colleagues. And the most painful part for this client was that the individual was trying so hard. And you hate to see your employees struggle when they're making an effort. And you certainly don't want to burst somebody's balloon by giving them negative feedback. So here's how I handle those types of situations. I frame it as intention versus impact. So if I was giving feedback to this candidate, I would say, while I can see that you're making a really concerted effort to do X, Y, and Z right, the impact that you're having is, and then go into detail with regard to that. Now you'll want to allow them to process that information, and in doing so, you may need to schedule a follow-up meeting so they have real time to think about and take in what you've said. And once you follow up, you want to ask how you can support them and let them take the lead, with obviously a little nudging from you if need be. But this is easiest because the individual's heart is in the right place and all it takes is a little bit of coaching. So number 2, and I call this personality type, bring your trauma to work day every day. So many times we have employees who have not processed the trauma they have experienced at other jobs or in other places in their life. And if left untreated, it can metastasize and it can present itself in forms such as bullying, gossiping, competing with colleagues, and one-upsmanship, to name a few I've seen. And much like the beach ball that you try to push down under the water, these types of behaviors can pop up when you least expect them, like once you've hired the individual and the probation period is over. So with this personality type, I start by clarifying my expectations for the role, and then I state that 90% of my expectations for the role is their attitude. And I like to keep it positive in this first meeting, so I frame it as to what I want to see. A growth mindset, helping your colleagues, stepping up, taking the time to improve, asking for feedback, meeting mastery. And I let them know that I'm always willing to work with them. And if this doesn't work, then you might need to get a little bit more pointed. Let me give you an example of something that happened in one of my previous roles. We had experienced some gossiping and competition among team members, and I did not like it. So I created a presentation for the junior staff members that explained what I looked for when considering individuals for promotion. And I had a manager come to me later, and she said, "Kristen, I felt like you were speaking directly to me in that presentation." I assured her that I was not, though she was somebody that I was concerned about. And we had a really transparent conversation about what had happened to her previously. She had been laid off in another role and she felt very insecure about her job, despite the fact that there were no signs of layoffs at the time. Out of that came a very productive conversation and a turnaround in the negative behaviors. Now, it hasn't always been sunshine and roses. I have had individuals where I've had to be very, very pointed about the behavior that I've seen, but luckily most people want to do the right thing and they want to please you in the workplace. However, let's discuss personality number 3. So number 3, I call the wall. And I've unfortunately encountered this individual a couple of times. So this is someone who gives you no feedback when you raise a concern. In fact, they think that your concerns are beneath them. They actually have real work to do and you are obstructing them from getting that done. You're a nuisance standing in their way with no real authority. And I'll be really frank, this person needs to be managed out. And I often talk on this channel about the downside of at-will employment, but this is an upside of at-will employment. But because we live in such a litigious society, at-will employment sometimes can be more of a theory than an actual practice. And unfortunately, I've been on the receiving end of this type of behavior, I think once for 8 because of my age, I was younger at the time, and then once for my gender. And I know nobody wants to believe that somebody doesn't respect them because of circumstances that they can't control. I mean, I want people to not respect me because of who I really am. But I say that to validate you, not because it changes the game plan. But there are individuals that are just not going to accept a woman as a manager or a younger person as a manager or whatever their bias happens to be. So I had an individual like this at a previous role. When I was promoted, I learned that this person was unwilling to work with program managers. He thought they were beneath him. And when I asked about projects and deadlines that had passed, I was either stonewalled or received a condescending remark. So when I went to him with my concerns, all I received as feedback from him was, okay, okay. And that was it. And unfortunately, what happened is HR had to get involved, and I had a great HR team to assist me, and they had my back, but we had to manage him out by, and I hated doing this, micromanaging, detailing every project, what my expectations were, what it needed to look like, the exact time and date in which it was due, who we needed to consult with in order to get it done, and what the end result should be. And then in addition to the actual work, I had to have a detailed plan about attitude as well. I needed somebody coachable. I needed someone flexible. I needed someone who worked with my managers and was responsive to them. And this takes an extraordinary amount of time and effort to do. And depending on your HR team, it can go up or down as far as the effort is concerned. And I'm not going to lie, I had a lot of sleepless nights until the individual resigned on his own accord. But I have to say, in the end, because of the way the team turned around with this individual's absence, it was worth it. The program managers understood that I had their back, that I wasn't going to back down, and I was going to make sure that we were productive and got things done. And the most important thing you can do, and HR should help you with, is document all the behavior, not merely that you've seen, but that your colleagues have seen as well. I know people management can be tough sometimes, but I have to say it's one of the more rewarding aspects of any of the jobs that I've had. Getting to know people, experiencing their brilliance, watching their growth, it can be really rewarding. Did you like this video? If so, I would love if you would share, like, and subscribe. My goal with this channel is to curate a community that is kind, respectful, responsive, and can help uplift each other as we navigate corporate America. I come out with new videos each week, and until then, take care.